Welcome back to the continuation class Ma. In this video we are going to see about international migration. We are going to learn about international migration and how the people who migrate will be getting protected by the Indian government. That is what is act related to that when it was made, and what way they will be getting problems will be faced by them, and how Indian government will help them. These are all things we are going to come across in this particular video. First, let us know something about IM, international migration. International migration is movement of people from one country to other country. Internation. Nation means one country to other. International. Intranational means within the country. International migration means movement of people from one country to other country. These people who move from India to Arab Emirates, United States of America, they are called immigrants. And immigrants from India, as they land in that country, they are called immigrants. That is immigration. This is emigration. So in the entire world, out of 780 crore people, 20 crore or 200 million are international migrants. How many are international migrants? 200 million are 20 crores are the total international migrants, or 20 crores international migrants. The size of international migrants is 200 million. Yeah. So 200 million are international migrants right now. Out of 780 crores, 20 crores. Among these people, almost less than one third. Less than one third means one third of this, you can 68 something like it will be. Let us consider a round figure 70 million or 7 crores. 70 million or 7 crores. Less than this. A number very short, lesser than this. They are moving from one developing country. They got moved from one developed country to other developed country. How many? 70 million or 7 crores. One developing country to other developing country. Other developing country. Remaining are people moving from developed country to developing countries and developing countries to developed countries. Got it? International migration of India is two types. One is movement of skilled, trained professionals, and other is movement of semi-skilled and unskilled people. Those people who move to developed countries in the west or in the east, they are highly skilled professionals, highly trained, highly educated professionals. Better I can say highly skilled, because all educated may not be skillful. So highly skilled professionals there. Professionals related to information technology, engineering, management, doctors, they will be making their move to developed countries like United States of America, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, so on. Nowadays, there is a movement to countries like Norway, New Zealand, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore. Like this, nowadays even the movement is happening of professionals to developed countries. In the east also, Japan is in the east, New Zealand is in the east, Malaysia, Singapore are below south of India. So in this way they are moving to Southeast East or West developed countries are professionals. In 1950s, the number of people who migrated from India, something around 10,000 per annum. 10,000 per annum. They are not skilled. In 1950, who moved from India to these developed countries are not skilled. They are semi-skilled or unskilled. Semi-skilled or unskilled will be working in the activity of construction or maintenance services, or drivers. What is that? Is drivers, washerwoman, cooking woman, maid servant, or midwife. Got it? So this, like this, they will be carrying on their activity. Got it? Male or female. Got it? They will be busy in what we can call electricity activity and so on, repairing activity and so on. So they are unskilled, they will be in construction activity, picking the headloads and so on. Semi-skilled, like this, electrician, plumber, car driver, washerman, barber, like this. Got it? So these people are supervisors, to act as supervisors, they will be going. So they are semi-skilled and unskilled. And semi-skilled and unskilled nowadays are not going to developed countries, but in 1950s they moved. Those who moved, most of them are semi-skilled and unskilled. But now most of the people who move to developed countries are skilled, highly skilled and professionals. Just now I mentioned them. And now where this unskilled and semi-skilled are going? Yeah, now this is the area we have to see. Most of the semi-skilled and unskilled workers today are moving, at present are moving. Got it? I said to you, skilled and professionals are they're moving to developed countries. After 1990s, because of globalization and opening of liberalization, LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization, liberalization of economy by world countries, and inviting private companies to enter into their domain, brought a new phenomenon called globalization. The entire world turned into a village. The entire globe turned into a village because of advanced transportation and communication, telecommunication. So, in this era, employment opportunities increasing around the world. So, now every year 60,000, what is that? 60,000 will be moving to 6K means 6,000, no? Sorry, make a pardon. 60,000 people are moving from India who are skilled and highly trained professionals to developed countries like USA, UK, Germany, Norway, France, Switzerland, Sweden, Spain, like this. Many countries which are in the west and also in the east. 60,000 people. In the good old days, 10K, 10,000. Now 60K are moving, 60,000 are moving. Yeah, now the second type of Indians who move out for employment are those who are called semi-skilled and unskilled. Alright, now I said where they will be engaged. Most of these will be moving to OPEC countries now. OPEC countries. What are the OPEC countries? OPEC nation. Oil producing and exporting countries. And exporting countries. In short, they are called OPEC. OPEC is the abbreviated form of OPEC. OPEC is the abbreviated form of oil producing and exporting countries. Most of the unskilled, semi-skilled will be moving to these countries. What are those countries? They lie in West Asia, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait. So in this way, those countries which are existing in West Asia, to the west of India, very close to Iran and Iraq, what it is? They are destiny for these people who are semi-skilled and unskilled. Right now, how many people are there? Do you know? 3 million or 30 lakh people are there in this country. 3 million or 30 lakhs. Every year the people moving over there are 3 lakhs from India. Every year 3 lakh people will be going to those countries in search of employment. And all these people who go to West Asian nations who are unskilled and semi-skilled, they will be given a specified time period. A visa will be given mentioning a time period, specific period. After completion of that period, immediately they will be turning back. Maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. They will be not permitted to be there. Whereas the people who move to developed countries, most of them will be settling down. Few will be turning back to the motherland. So, this is the case now. This is the difference between the first type of international migration, second type of international migration. These people will not stay they will not build their houses over there. They will turn back and send their money to India till the minute they are there. And once the visa permit gets completed, they will be turning back. So, out of these 3 lakhs also, 3/5 are from South India. Out of every 5 international migrants belonging to the semi-skilled and unskilled, moving to West Asia, oil producing and exporting countries, OPEC countries, are South Indians. From South Indian states, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, United States of India, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. Out of every 5, 3 from these states only. Means the remaining 2 are from, 5 minus 3, 2. Remaining 2 are from remaining parts of the country, other states in the entire country. You can see how South Indians are dominating in the oil producing and exporting countries. How what their number is more, you can see, right? So this is what is the international migration now. And now we will be coming across what are the problems faced by them. Most of these people who move to abroad, particularly semi and problems will be meted by semi and unskilled people or workers. Why? Because as they are not having that awareness, they bank on the agencies which are called as manpower supply agencies. Manpower supply agencies. Supply agencies. These agencies taking advantage of gullibility. Gullibility means innocence of these people who are in their need of employment. They will play some foul place or they carry on some malign activity. What is that? These fellows, they say, 1 lakh rupees you pay, we will make you 1 lakh rupees if you pay, we will take you to Saudi Arabia. Okay, this innocent fellow paid 1 lakh. They will issue work visa. Work permit visa they will be issuing for 6 months or 1 year. Before they give that visa to him, again they demand for 50,000 more. He says, already you said 1 lakh, promise is made for 1 lakh and I paid. No. You got a visa, whether you want to go or not. If you want to go, give 50,000. In this way, manpower agencies will be cheating these fellows. Or at times, taking advantage of gullibility of these people, they will be cheating by providing tourist visa. Tourist visa 6 months only, you can go and tour the place and come. But visa is given, innocent people they take and they go there. No employment. And people go with empty pocket or some little amount with them. Where expecting that there will be a work over there, no work. They got bulled by this manpower agency by giving a tourist visa, it bulled them instead of work permit visa. So in that way they will be getting cheated. Or these fellows will be putting a condition, boss, I will be sending you if you pay 1 lakh. But after you go there, whatever you earn, from that 10% or 5%, if you are earning 10,000 riyals over there, you have to give me 50 or 100 riyals every month. Innocent people who are in need of employment, they accept and go. In this way, these people will cheat. After going over there, After going over there, how they are that fellow employer says that I'll pay something, agreement is made with certain conditions. And that employer will not pay salaries in time. 5 months work, only 2 months salary will pay. Or he will change the conditions in the agreement in favor of himself without the notice of this fellow, because this fellow don't know Arabic language. And some other reason he makes him to give the thumb impression or signature. If innocent fellow who can't suspect the employer, he will sign or give thumb impression. And in their language, what is it then also not known? Okay. Next thing, the fellows will force them to work overtime without paying anything. For overtime work, they will not pay anything. And these fellows should not question. If they question, they will be terminated from the job. And at times, they will not give some benefits what they would get. They will freeze fringe benefits. Fringe benefits means like what provident fund is paid by the employer to in the name of this fellow, ESI. Got it? So in this way, health policy or something, they will away. Or you sign on this form, you are leaving, and they will take it. All that provident fund, what they paid in the name of this worker, they will take by getting him signed. Only then they will hand over passport. Why? Because the minute worker joins the job, he have to hand over his passport and visa to the employer. And he will not give that. That's why forcibly they will sign. Most of the migrant workers will not complain because they will be losing a job. If they have to complain, whom they have to complain? Who will take care of these people going into the abroad? This is the area. An act was made in 1983, Indian Immigration Act, Indian Immigration Act. Immigration Act, 1983. Yeah, now according to this, there will be, actually before also it is there, and now the duty of that office. What is that office? Indian Embassy. Indian Embassy will be there in every country. These people will be getting briefing about the person who is coming from India before fellow steps into that country. Every country Indian Embassy will be there. Almost 193, 200 countries Indian Embassy will be there. Got it? So, Indian Embassy will be there, and a High Commissioner will be the IFS, Indian Foreign Service, a fellow who completes, he will be there in that embassy as Indian High Commissioner. And Mr. SVP is coming, he is from this place of India, he is going to work in some particular area and take a consideration of and put a look on him. Good, take care of good and bad of the fellow. Already Indian government will be sending, Home Ministry will be sending information to Indian Embassy. Their High Commissioner will be there. High Commissioner's duty is to take care of well-being of Indians who go to work in that particular country where he is working. Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, United States of America, United Kingdom, Canada, wherever, everywhere Indian Embassy will be there, the High Commissioner will be there. And his duty is to take care about the migrants who came from India. Immigrants. They left India, immigrants. If someone comes to India, he is immigrant. Okay, now? Right. So, what is the difference between ambassador and High Commissioner? Ambassador will be dealing with affairs related to two countries. Indian ambassadors will be there in our foreign countries also. They will be carrying the diplomatic relations between India and other countries. That is the duty of ambassador. He will deal official activity between the governments, Indian government and other governments. That is ambassador. High Commissioner. Ambassador is the High Commissioner will take care of, who will be there in the embassy, Indian embassy, he will be taking care of the well-being of migrant Indians. Wish you all the best. With this we conclude the Unit 7, Settlements and Migrations. And my appeal to you all is, most of you even did not get subscribed and not getting followed the classes regularly. It is visible in the form of views which I am getting. Got it? So, if you have any, if you listen, if you can't follow something, you can have a question, you can have a query, and I can respond and attend that and clarify your doubt. But you are least bothered about that. And the best result is Mr. Mohit, who was asking for my personal channel. That's why we could not follow. Got 18, I think, in the last exam. I name out even Bhavya, who got very less marks. Yeah, actually, Bhavya is a very good student. Mohit is a good student. All the students with whom I come across, all are good in my subject before. But these 4 or 5 months brought a beginning. This one. Many names of F1 are not found writing the exam. They are taking very casual. And F3 also, many names. And rewriting were also there, like Jairam Chandra, who went from F3 to F1. 2 times, 3 times attempting the exam. Where the marks, the list is there with me. But I'll discuss anything else there, physical classes, which will be getting started by September of this year. Then only we'll be coming in contact, physical contact. Then it will be a problem. I'm saying syllabus is getting completed. Please follow it regularly. Thank you all.